Our experiences and the meanings we make of them shape who we become, for better or worse. All of us will face the full spectrum of our own humanity at some point or another, which includes enjoying times of triumph, beauty, and love, but also inevitably includes enduring times of stress, pain, and loss. Adversity is a part of life, and none of us are immune to this, including children. They can and do experience stress. One of the most important competencies in life is resilience, the ability to weather storms and bend but not break and bounce back in the face of hardship. Kids need resilience now more than ever before, given the demands they face and the problems they'll have to solve in the future. And the roots of resilience start early in life. Fortunately, the science is clear that positive relationships with others counterbalance stress. And adversity can even be beneficial when buffered by responsive caregiver relationships. In fact, a converging body of scientific evidence from a range of disciplines confirms this is irrefutable. Safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments are not only a psychological need, but a fundamental biological requirement. And without them, healthy development can be derailed. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, refer to sudden or pervasive and ongoing events in a child's life that undermine their ability to cope. ACEs can include various forms of abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction, such as witnessing violence or parental addiction, homelessness or loss of a parent, even social rejection, discrimination, or poverty. In the absence of supportive caregiver relationships to buffer the developing body and brain from a constant barrage of stress hormones, stress that could have been tolerable becomes toxic and places children at much higher risk for lifelong problems with physical health, mental health, and diminished quality of life far into adulthood, even years off the lifespan. The number of children exposed to adversity is startling. In a typical American classroom, more than half of students will carry backpacks of toxic stress filled with one or more ACEs. Nearly a quarter will have 3 or more, and about 6% are likely to have many. As the coordinator of trauma-informed schools for a large urban school district, my colleagues and I see this in our work every day. Kids can't compartmentalize stress, and they don't just bring it at the door. They bring it into the classroom with them, and this places them at higher risk for difficulties with academic achievement and executive functioning, attention problems, managing emotions and behavior, navigating relationships, and even showing up to school. The impacts are not limited to those dealing with adversity directly, though. The cost can also be high to all stakeholders. A sort of tinderbox effect of stress contagion can occur for the whole class as peers watch their classmates struggle and ill-equipped teachers struggle to meet the needs of many students. The cost to teachers is also high as they become first responders to childhood trauma. They may bring their own briefcases of stress to school, often refilling them daily with increasing feelings of ineffectiveness or burnout. It is therefore critical in this work to support teacher wellness and their ability to meet the needs of their students. ACEs are prevalent universally and can and do occur across children from all walks of life. But we know that those from groups who have been historically marginalized are particularly vulnerable. ACEs are universal, but the access to healing is not. The least amount of resources are too often allocated to the students who need us the most. and they may be the least likely to find access to the safety net of supports they need at school. And 1/5 of America's children are growing up in poverty today, and more than half are economically disadvantaged. Yet, there's another form of poverty that's arguably far more pernicious than material poverty. And that's what scientists like Dr. Bruce Perry refer to as relational poverty. Far too many children don't have access to the supportive relationships they need to thrive. And about 40% of children don't grow up with secure attachment to their parents. Our relationally impoverished world further exacerbates this problem, with many children being raised by more screen time than authentic connections with empathetic human beings. Or far worse, societal problems like the opioid epidemic. And for all its successes, schools have, our education system has broken parts because it's largely designed to grow and fertilize only the cognitive part of the brain, when this is not how the brain actually works. The brain is a highly interrelated organ, and social emotional health is an essential precursor to healthy executive functioning and academic and school success. Yet the United States ranked at the very bottom when 32 similarly high-resource countries were compared for social-emotional learning programming in schools. Social-emotional learning and health is persistently overshadowed by a compulsion for ever-increasing academic pressure in a misguided effort to raise test scores. This may be particularly the case in high-poverty, low-achieving schools as we push for more bell-to-bell instruction and rigid models of control and compliance and punitive adult mindset and zero tolerance, thereby increasing stress when what kids really need are positive, developmentally appropriate, and relationship-rich school environments. The unintentional outcome is that schools too often become a place that furthers distress for kids and families who already have distressing lives. And we fail the very students we aim to empower with an education. Yet this work is not about fixing broken kids. They are not broken, although their environments might need a little fixing. This work is about supporting teachers and cultivating a shared adult mindset that's based on empowerment and nurturing student strengths, responding to the very real and legitimate needs they bring to the classroom, and implementing practices that are in the best interest of all children. What brings me hope is that educators can play a powerful role in mitigating childhood trauma while also optimizing executive functioning and academic and school success for all kids. Trauma-informed schools focus on fostering a sense of safety, connection, and belongingness, and ensure that all students have access to a safe haven that is school. They incorporate regularly scheduled stress reduction practices into the school day to help students stay regulated, and implement strategies such as peace corners or regulation rooms so that kids have structured and readily available access to calming tools and the safe space they need to use them when they get overwhelmed. And teachers are trained in co-regulation so that they're prepared to pull students out of the storms of stress and into the calm of a highly regulated adult when that's what's needed. And school should be fun. In fact, enjoyability is generally a sign that something's good for the brain. When the work is relevant and meaningful and the daily schedule is manageable, with plenty of time for brain breaks and open-ended play and physical activity and creative expression through the arts, schools become a place where kids feel they can be successful and want to be. And then learning unfolds naturally. I'm fortunate to live in Tennessee, where we're engaged in a robust collective impact effort to prevent and mitigate childhood adversity throughout our state. And schools have a critical role to play in this. I'm also very fortunate to work in a district that prioritizes this. And we've trained over 10,000 educators about the science of healthy development and the impacts of adversity on school success and trauma-informed practices in our efforts to promote widespread awareness and organizational change towards more compassionate school environments. We have strong structures in place to support social-emotional learning and positive behavior supports and restorative practices and school-based mental health services, including trauma-specific interventions. And we partner with the city police department so we can ensure that schools know when one of their students is exposed to a potentially traumatic incident in the community, fielding nearly 2,500 notifications to school staff to handle their students with care last year. And this year, we're up to 17 trauma-informed pilot schools. Last year, we had 10, and 8 of those showed significant reductions in student discipline referrals. Teachers report reduced stress and that their students are better able to manage emotions and behavior and demonstrate acts of kindness. Humans have an astounding capacity to take the most challenging life experiences and transform them to grow stronger and create more meaningful ways of living. And children are tremendously resilient when nurtured with what they need to grow and flourish. Sadly, in today's world, love and compassion can be scarce, even in the business of educating children. But we have the power to change the world in just one generation through our children. And all children are relying on us to put just as much value on social emotional health as we do on achievement and test scores. The literacy of the heart matters. Only then can we envision a brighter future and a world we wish to leave behind for them when we're gone. Thank you.